an intro. I think we're good.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us at the meeting of Board of Mayor and Aldermen for Hendersonville, Tennessee. My name is Cooper Belitzis. My parents are Shannon and Jeff Belitzis. I am a 6th grader at Ellis Middle School. It is March 12, 2024. The time is a few minutes past 7 p.m. We will begin our meeting as we typically do with a prayer and the pledge.
Thank you all. So tonight, providing our prayer is Alex York. He's the Director of Volunteer Services at First Baptist Church. We appreciate you very much, Alex. We appreciate very much what the church does for our community. If you could lead us in prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we're so grateful for the privilege of living in a place where our voices matter and where we're part of the process, part of the decision-making process of what goes on in our community. And I thank you for each person here who has something to say. Thank you that their voice matters, and thank you for each of the members of this board and for their commitment to our community, for all the ways that they serve. I just pray that you would give them wisdom tonight, give them patience, give them ears to hear, give them direction and clarity. We ask that you would bless this meeting, and we pray that you would continue to bless our community. I lift up especially Sebastian Rogers. Lord, please help authorities to find him. Please comfort his family. Hold them together. And there are so many other situations that will not get voiced tonight, but there are things going on in our community where we desperately need your help, and so we ask for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so much. So again, that's Alex York. He's with First Baptist Church. He's the director of the Feed Sumner Food Bank and its ministry, and what they do is they help serve some families with immediate needs, and we appreciate very much what you do and what your church does.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you all would, please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Cooper. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to entertain a motion to accept the agenda. We have a motion from Alderman Waters and a second from Alderman Goodwin. Alderman Collins.
I would like to make a motion that we renew the conversation about the EcoPort because it has come to my attention in the past couple of days that there has been discussion about building an exit ramp off of the bow tie. I think it's exit 3, the loop-de-loop, that would go straight to their property and which could alleviate much of the traffic problems that we have as an obstacle. And however, I want to renew that conversation tonight procedurally so that we may continue with it. But when it comes on the agenda, I would then defer it so that we can collect information about this topic.
So do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second from Alderman Skidmore. Where would y'all like that? So I suspect that item 1 is going to be withdrawn. Would you like to place item number 1, Alderman Skidmore, Alderman Collins?
Yes, and I will ask to defer it, so
When we get to that point?
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion to renew the resolution that was in front of us 2 weeks ago regarding the EcoPort. We need to discuss specifically that for now. Alderman Garza, your light was on. Was that?
I did a mistake.
Sorry about that. Okay. Alderman Peterson, about this. Okay. Okay. So Alderman Peterson, I need to turn your light off. There we go. Jason, are you ready for a vote? Okay. So a vote yes is that we will add this to tonight's agenda. But as the person who made the motion said, her plan is to, when we get to that item, is to defer it for 2 weeks. A vote no is to not include it on the agenda. Alderman Robertson. Alderman Robertson, hold on one second. I'm sorry, I've got to fix something here. There we go. You ready?
So procedurally, I raised questions when this came up last time that this is not the way we normally do things. When there is a proposed development, it goes to the Planning Commission. There is a public hearing at the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission does its investigation and its deliberation, and they make a recommendation to us. And then we move forward at that time. I would really like for us to use our standard operating procedures and to have them go to the Planning Commission and let them air out that, let the public hear it, let the public debate it. I think that's the proper course of action for us to take. I guess what I would like to do, if there's no other discussion, is there any other discussion on that? Because I don't want to cut off debate.
I think you're okay. There's nobody else who has a light.
I would like to move this to the table.
Okay.
I'd like to table this motion.
So neither one of these motions do we have all that often. So what Alderman Robertson is asking is that we do not take a vote on this at this time. But that requires a second, and it's not debatable. Second. We have a second from Alderman Waters. So that's not debatable. So right now, what we're going to vote on is a motion to table, which means that we would, if you vote yes, you do not want to take up Alderman Collins' motion at this time.
Procedural question. Does that accomplish the same thing, meaning that we could bring it back up at our next meeting?
You could bring it up at your next meeting. You could even make a motion to take it off the table later on in this meeting. Again, there's a reason we don't do this too often, and it gets a little bit confusing, but all this is proper. It's absolutely proper. So we do not, under Robert's Rules of Order, have the opportunity to debate or discuss this item. I just want to give you some explanation there. So if you vote yes.
Is there any difference in the outcome between tabling it and the way that?
Yes. So if we table it, it could come back up at any time, just by somebody making a motion to take it off the table. That's really the difference. So.
Procedurally,
I'm sorry?
I'm not debating it, but procedurally, as I stated, I would expect us to follow the regular process through this. Take it to the Planning Commission and then bring it to us afterwards.
So a vote yes right now on the motion to table that was properly seconded. A vote yes, and we will not vote on Alderman Collins' motion. A vote no, and we'll go back to Alderman Collins' motion. So Jason, you ready for us? Okay. So all those in favor of the motion to table, press your green button. Those opposed, press the red one. So that passes, the motion to table passes 7-5, voting in favor, Alderman Robertson, Waters, Collins, Goodwin, Dixon, and Garza, and myself. Voting against, Alderman Bergdorf, Skidmore, Peterson, Martin, and Sassy. Now we are back on the motion to approve the agenda. Thank you, Jason. Alderman Peterson or Alderman Martin? Did y'all have something? Alderman Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. Myself and Alderman Martin would like to withdraw item number 1.
Okay. Alderman Martin, is that the case? Yes, sir. Thank you. Since y'all are the only two sponsors of this, y'all can withdraw this item from our agenda. An item needs to have a sponsor in order for it to be considered by us. Since y'all are the only two sponsors and you wish to withdraw it, it does not require a vote. So that item is withdrawn. Any other discussion on the agenda? Okay, so essentially Alderman, thought you were going to hit your button there, Alderman Skidmore, sorry. So right now we're voting on the agenda that was provided to you in your packet a few days ago, minus item 1 under ordinances and resolutions. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda with that item withdrawn, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we're on to presentations. I hope that y'all will meet me right down here. Absolutely. So we've had the opportunity to do this for the past couple of years, and it's something sort of cool. I knew that they were in competition a few weeks ago and sort of kept an eye on how well they did, but let me read this to you. Whereas the Police Explorers program, as part of the Boy Scouts of America and Learning for Life Exploring, was created for youth ages 14 to 20 that have met a series of requirements and are interested in pursuing a career in law enforcement, and whereas, as a part of the Hendersonville Police Explorers Post 112, these young individuals will learn about basic police procedures, techniques, and tactics, receive hands-on training, and compete in competitions with other law enforcement explorer posts from around the Southeast. And whereas Post 112 raised funds to be able to participate in the February 2024 event in Gatlinburg that included team-building exercises as well as 4 competitions: active shooter, officer down, domestic violence, and crisis negotiation, in which they placed 3rd in the officer down category. And whereas many of the explorers do go on to become police officers. However, the program also teaches valuable life skills such as effective communications, problem solving, and leadership that will assist them in other areas of life. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, do encourage all citizens to join me in congratulating the Hendersonville Police Explorers Post 112 on their placement in the February competition in Gatlinburg and their participation and dedication to community service, high standards, and in creating tomorrow's leaders. I'm going to ask for more information from these folks right here because they can tell you more about the competition and more about what these explorers do. So y'all going to go ahead? Okay.
So I will make this as quick as possible because I too understand how long these meetings can get. So the Hendersonville Explorer Post is all here. This is almost all of our members. We're missing a few, unfortunately, tonight. But I would first off like to thank each and every single one of you guys on the board for supporting us and supporting the Hendersonville Citizens Police Academy, who helps us a lot, obviously. We all have the same mission to save and protect and keep our streets clean and things like that. Do you guys have anything that you guys would like to say?
Did she introduce herself?
She did not.
Head advisor? I'm putting you on the spot. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know I was speaking, so I don't have a speech. So, but I do want to say thank you for this proclamation. It's pretty cool. I took over this program 1.5 years ago, right after COVID. And we went last year, and we don't know where we placed, but we didn't get a trophy. So,
That's okay.
But they came back this year stronger and harder. They've worked very long. All these kids, they do it voluntarily. They have community service projects that they have to do, and they do it every month without question and without fail. I just ask that the city keep recognizing them and keep working with us to make this a better program for them. So thank you.
MPO Goodwin, will you introduce yourselves and them?
Sorry. And who?
Yourselves and them.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm MPO Goodwin. I'm one of the newest MPOs that was promoted in October. First is J.B. Anderson. Second is Caleb Pettigo. Then we have Lillian Faith, and I can't see who's next. Oh, Lucy Sherba, Zach Miller, Cameron Rose, and Megan Frost. Sorry. I like teasing her. Yeah. And I guess I forgot to introduce our lieutenant, who's getting ready to retire this year because she's going to age out, unfortunately. So we love having her. She's talking about coming to join us when she turns 21 in November. So she's going to be an amazing addition to the police department. So this is Leah Garton. So thank you.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to? Well, I just want to say one more thing really quick, or actually 2 more things really quick. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that this is the first proclamation that the Explorers Post has received in its existence. Wow. And I would really like to say thank you. I'd really like to extend my thanks to you all. As well, really quick. We all have these little hockey pucks with our logo on them. On the back is a QR code that you guys can scan, and it'll take you to our website where you can learn a little bit more about us. If you have anyone at home ages 14 to just shy of the age of 21, they can join. If you know anyone that might be interested, maybe put out a little Facebook post or something like that. But yeah, so if you guys want to go ahead and hand
Yep.
those out really quick, that'd be great.
Yeah, and then stay up here, we're gonna take a picture.
Yes, and then
That
we'll get a
include-
picture
that includes you
afterwards.
three also. Appreciate it, guys.
I gotta get out.
Appreciate that. Thank you. That's pretty cool. So y'all listen to Casey. She is the lady in the blue sweater. Appreciate y'all. Thanks so much. We don't have any public hearings. The next item on our agenda is minutes. I'll entertain a motion that we approve the minutes that were provided to you for our February 27th, 2024 meeting. We have a motion. We have a motion from Alderman Garza and a second from Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes from our February 27, 2024 meeting as they were provided to you, please say aye. Those opposed say no. That passes unanimously. We have two people signed up. Sorry, we have an extension from Alderman Karen, Alderman Dixon. We have two people signed up for citizen comments. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Public comment should be limited to 5 minutes per person, which time is not transferable to any other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, that's me, not to aldermen, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with differing views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be tolerated. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. David Lucky, Clarendon, please.
David Lucky, 110 Clarendon Place. Mayor and board, I just wanted to thank you for letting us be part of the process today. And we want to be part of the solution. And if the development community, from my perspective, can help in any way, please ask. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Lee Jestings. Lee may have left. Yeah. Lee, are you still here? So we have nothing, we have, Lee left, so we have nothing on the consent agenda. Now we're on ordinance and resolutions. Item 1 has been withdrawn. We're on to item 2, and that's the first reading of ordinance 2024-05, an ordinance amending the budget ordinance 2023-11 to reflect mid-year adjustments to the city's 2024 fiscal year budget. We have a motion. I'll make the motion. Alderman Waters, did you second that? Okay. Any discussion? Alderman Collins.
Discussion. Well, I have a question, but I might need, I just wanted to use the opportunity to get a little bit of an update on Bradford Berry, because I get a lot of questions about that. We're allocating through the mid-year budget $20,000 towards that. And could Jesse or Sarah or somebody tell us what that does and what that does not do? For example, I was reminded recently that the trees closest to Main Street are not on our property.
Yeah, so it's a good point to remember, that Bradford Berry, the section that was deeded to us is really behind Main Street. So all the trees that are down on Main Street, we've heard talk of potentially a Chick-fil-A going in there and some other businesses. So that is not the property that is deeded to the city. That $20,000 is there not to restore the building, but to temporarily protect the building. It is dilapidated, so that's to tarp it, to board it up, in rain events. And that's primarily what it's for.
And just to clarify for the community, those actions have already taken. We're just allocating the money through this process. There's already a tarp and,
There is, but if some more should arise, if an issue arises, we want to be prepared to be able to tackle it. So the funds are in there in anticipation that there needs to be additional roof repairs or shoring of the building. So we have some funds to mitigate it if we do have that issue arise.
thank you for sharing that, because I get questions about the Bradford Berry House weekly, at least weekly. I do have another thing I want to bring up. I would like to offer an amendment to the mid-year budget adjustment. I'm going to tell a story about how I came to this. Before I even became an alderman, I started getting complaints about the ambulance is taking so long. Somebody told me the ambulance took 12 minutes to get to their house. This is the first time I ever dealt with it. And it turned out, when I checked on it, it didn't take 12 minutes, it took 7 minutes. But of course, the family was experiencing a horrific trauma. That's why they needed the ambulance. So that 7 minutes was the longest 7 minutes of their life. And I do think that I get more calls about ambulance service because the people on Saundersville Road are very sensitive that the railroad track issue might be causing delays. Whether it is or not, I can't say with certainty. But, and I'm not, absolutely not picking a fight with the county and not bashing the ambulance service. But I get these calls regularly, and at first, I would just look into it and then say, this is your county commissioner, please contact them. County is responsible for ambulance service. But when it gets to be too many calls, then you need to be the one to call the county commissioner. And when it gets to be a little bit more than that, you need to think, okay, what is the root problem here? Because we can't just kick everything off and say, oh, it's not my problem. And so the county, the ambulance service average response time is 2 minutes longer than our fire department's average response time. So on average, our fire department is arriving 2 minutes prior to the ambulance arriving. And for the county, realistically, to bring their response time down to what our fire department is, it would cost them millions of dollars. And that's not something that I feel like I can influence and change, certainly not quickly. So I started thinking in terms of, this is a set obstacle, but how can I work around it to still provide what the community is telling me that they want from a level of public safety? And what I came to realize is that the biggest difference is we have EMTs and advanced EMTs on our fire apparatus, but we don't have paramedics. And so why when we offer additional pay of $3,500 a year, do we not have, we only have 8 paramedics, and one of them is our chief, Bush, and he's not on the fire truck. So we have 7 paramedics that are potentially on the suppression floor responding to calls. And so during that 2 minutes, we've got this gap where well, it's not about what we are providing or what the county's providing, but the people are not receiving a paramedic as soon as they could. So I would like for us to increase. Oh, the other thing I almost forgot is that I'm hearing that Gallatin is increasing their paramedic pay to $6,000 a year. And so I'm afraid we might have retention issues when that happens. But really, my goal is to motivate people to become paramedics, people that are already with our fire department. And I'm not sure that money is the only obstacle or the only way to motivate them, but I think it's the tool that I have to use to try and get more paramedics, which I think will benefit our community in a disproportionately large way compared to the expense So I would like to increase paramedic pay to $6,000. Currently that, we have 8 paramedics and we have 3 months left in the cycle. So Jesse, tell me again how much money that would be. Because I already forgot.
It would be less than $5,000.
Less than $5,000 for this adjustment. And it takes 2 years to become a paramedic, which is why I don't want to wait until the new budget, because with a 2-year lead time, I feel like there's urgency involved. And the sooner we can put this carrot in front of them, the more likely we are to get paramedics sooner. So I move that we increase the paramedic pay from $3,500 to $6,000 annually, resulting in a less than $5,000 adjustment to our operating expenses.
Do we have a second? Okay, so we have a second. So help me out, Alderman Collins. I'm looking on page 50. It probably goes, yeah, I guess we'll go on page 50. So Jesse, you might be able to help me out here too, or Tamara. So I want to make sure I understand this. So the pay is $6,000 additional in salary every year, am I correct, Alderman?
No, sir. I want to bring the total to $6,000, so it would be an additional $2,500
Gotcha. For everybody who is a certified paramedic.
for all 8 of them.
Okay. And that would be added to their salary every year.
Yes.
Okay. So similar to e-pay or similar to
It's a,
credential pay.
I'm drawing a blank. It's called supplemental pay.
Okay. Okay.
Is that what we call it, the term? It's a form of supplemental pay.
Okay. So they have their salary because they're at on a certain table at a certain level, and then we have a supplemental pay.
An add-on
Yeah.
every month, right?
And-
And
Do we have one paramedic in the police department? No? Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
There's a crossover on the SWAT team. He actually works for us.
Okay, that's fine.
Hold on.
Okay,
Jesse, can you
thank
repeat
you.
that? That's not going to show up.
So on our SWAT team, Mr. Daniel Bush is a firefighter, and he is on the SWAT team as well for PD. And the reason is because he can provide medical backup. For SWAT purposes, there's a paramedic, but he's actually a firefighter.
So
Okay.
I appreciate this motion. I know that the Public Safety Committee just discussed this. There's a couple things that are open-ended for me. Is what is Gallatin doing? Because you mentioned that you think that they
Yeah,
just increased it.
They haven't voted,
Okay.
but they are talking about increasing it to 6,000.
Okay. The other thing that's sort of open for me is that I'd want to check with our Director of Administrative Services and see what this does as far as the impact it has for next year. And we just looked at what the pay was for everybody, including what the supplemental pay was in some situations. So I'd want to ask Jason how this impacts that.
So we did not compare supplemental pay in our pay study. We didn't compare these. It wasn't a component of it. And I understand that many of you will want to go back to that analysis and compare what other departments are doing, but frankly, that doesn't really resonate with me, because for me, I just feel like my constituents want a paramedic on the fire truck that's there 2 minutes before the ambulance is there. It's very meaningful to them. And I don't really care what other departments are paying or what they're doing. I want to do something to motivate our firefighters to achieve paramedic status.
So, Alderman Collins, I don't disagree. I think what I would want to do is I would want to phase in a time when all of our firefighters, or maybe our firefighter twos, that they have to be paramedic certified, and then we increase their pay, their salary with that. That way we can, as you said, we make sure that all of our firefighters, that at least one person on a company that shows up is a paramedic. I've got a couple other people with their buttons on. If you want me to come back to you, I'll
Sure.
come back to you in just a second. Alderman Robertson, is it on this amendment?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
So,
Oops.
the county provides ambulance services. Do they have paramedics on
That's the difference.
the ambulances? Who can answer that question?
Chief, you want to do it? Do you have it? Okay. Yeah. We need somebody to answer that knows.
And what are they paid?
So the county EMS service does provide paramedics. They have a paramedic and an advanced or a basic EMT on each unit. As far as their pay, their starting salary, as far as a paramedic versus a firefighter medic for the city of Hendersonville is higher than what we currently pay our firefighter medics. Even with that, it's a $3,600 stipend, not our supplemental pay. It's not $3,500. It's $3,600. So if we did, or if you guys vote to change that, it's going to be $2,400 difference. But a starting paramedic in Sumner County, I think makes, I'm going to stab at it. I don't remember, I haven't looked at it lately, $60K.
And with this amendment, what will our paramedics?
They'll go to 6,000, I think is the intent of Ms. Collins's request. So we would go from 3,600 to 6,000, which is roughly $2,400. You divide that between the 3 months left, it's going to be roughly 4,800.
Just how will that compete with the county paramedics?
Well, so they're getting paid, like their steps are based on them being a paramedic. Our $6,000, that is a huge improvement compared to what other departments are doing. It's not going to really compare to what the county's doing because they're getting paid to be solely a paramedic, and that scale is higher. I'm not sure that we want to jump off into that and try to catch up to that, if that makes sense to you. Because they have some tools right now that they can use on an ambulance that we do not have on our fire engines. And that's heart rate monitors, that's cardiac monitors. There's a lot of things that go along with that.
So is this the first step in getting more equipment on our fire
I would
trucks?
certainly like to see ALS engine companies, yes, sir.
So I'm very reluctant to move forward in the city providing ambulance services because it will significantly increase the cost to the city unless there's evidence that the county is not doing a good job. I know Alderman Collins mentioned that they're, on average 2 minutes slower to a call than our FD.
So we still won't be transporting people. The county will still be transporting. We will be exchanging paramedic to paramedic when we do a handoff. Right now, it's an EMT that has to stop at a certain skill level to hand it off to a paramedic. If we're equal, paramedics can do the same skills that paramedics riding on an EMS unit can do. So like if an EMT was there, they would have to put in an airway where a paramedic can actually intubate and do different things than what an advanced EMT can.
That was my next questioning, because I wish we had more time to deal with this. I'd prefer us to deal with it in the regular budget, so that we could have plenty of time to understand this. So what does a paramedic have the ability to do that an advanced, is it EMTs?
Yes, sir.
What we have EMTs now on calls.
They can push narcotics, they can read a rhythm strip, they can intubate, they can push paralytics. There's all kinds of skills that a paramedic can use that an advanced EMT cannot.
So an advanced EMT can't open up your track?
Well, they can, yes, sir. I mean, everybody's trained to CPR, so you can do the head, tilt, chin lift, you can bag, you can use an oropharyngeal airway. But for tube placement, which is kind of what you're looking for, right, because that's a secured airway, there's indications for that in Title CO2. It's going to get way crazy if I keep talking about it. But there's things that a paramedic can do to secure that airway that a advanced EMT cannot do. There's king airways that advanced EMTs can use. We use laryngoscopes and secure an airway as a paramedic at a higher level.
So have we advertised for paramedics?
No, we have not. So here's the issue with that, right? So our numbers have dropped considerably over the last 3 or 4 years because we have talked about in the department about requiring them to be advanced EMTs or EMTs just to come to us. But that's really going to restrict your folks as far as who's going to be applicants to come to you. If you start putting it on paramedics, your pool may even drop even lower than where it's at right now. Because if they're in a position where they're in a department that pays more, they're not going to leave there to come here.
So is the idea to recruit more or to get existing employees?
Both.
To do
Both.
the training?
Both. It is a recruitment tool, 100%, and then it is also to help with retaining employees because now you're acknowledging the fact that they have a higher skill set, that they can perform in the field and do things to help people in the field during 911 calls.
Okay, retaining. Are we having a trouble retaining paramedics? Have we lost any paramedics the last year?
We have lost a couple over the last few years, but as far as yes, we have lost one over the last year.
For retirement or for
She
going
left
other
to go
places?
to be a school teacher.
Going to be a school teacher, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't advertised for paramedics to try to beef up some new paramedics to come on staff.
No, sir, because again, our numbers have dropped as far as when we start opening up applications. If we start putting that requirement out there, if our pay is not competitive, you won't get folks to be interested in coming here.
Of course, we don't know because we haven't tried, but you're saying you think it would be futile to even try.
Yes, sir. If I was young again and looking at department and looking at pay, Goodlettsville gives their paramedics 7% more money.
And how much?
Well, it just depends on where they're at on the pay scale. I can't give you that number, sorry. Franklin pays their paramedics $11,000. Brentwood pays theirs $6,500. So there's a wide array. Murfreesboro pays them 7.5% more.
Chief, hold on just a second. You're about to ask a question. Go ahead, Alderman Robertson.
No, I think, I would prefer us to do this in the regular budget. I've got some comments I want to make and some observations on the mid-year budget. And I went to the Public Safety Committee meeting today hoping to learn more, and I just didn't learn enough. I want to provide the best service that we can to our citizens, but I also want to look at the cost associated with it. We did a study. You did the study. Your office did a pay study by contacting Franklin and
Yes, so I was asked by
locations.
Mr. Uckenroth to do that, and I can tell you, based on the numbers that I have received from Gallatin and other local agencies, my concern as a fire chief to help people in the community is if we're not competitive with pay, we are going to have a retention problem. Now, that's my speculation. I don't have any numbers to support that. I just know that we're bringing in a younger workforce right now, and if they can make $10 more an hour down the street or $5 more an hour down the street, that's what they're focused on.
So do you think this $2,500 additional dollars a year will be enough incentive to
I think it's certainly a starting point. Yes, sir.
starting point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how many employees would like to have as paramedics? Do we want everybody paramedics?
That's up to the individual. I mean, there's so many different ways that they can go and obtain that. We are, through the AFG, if you remember correctly, we are bringing an in-house class this year for paramedics, advanced EMTs and EMTs. And we have had a great response to that. We've got one person that wants to go to paramedic school. I think the reason why I've not polled people, but I think the reason why we've not had more interest is because, again, our pay is not competitive with other agencies, and it is a bigger responsibility to carry a paramedic license. You have a lot more CEUs that you have to get to obtain through the year, so there's a lot of things associated with that. It's not like you just get through the 2-year program and it's over. You have to maintain your CEUs for the next 2 years.
So is this $2,500 additional employee, is that the inclusive cost, or is there also training cost that goes along with that? I'm sure we pay for the training, don't we?
Well, we didn't used to pay for EMS training, right, because they got the supplemental pay. But we have worked out a negotiation with Vol State. They are going to bring in-house EMT, paramedic, and basic EMT CEUs to our department this upcoming budget year. And I've got that in the budget that does not change our need for increasing our training budget. That's going to come right off the top. We're going to do it 2 times a year, and then everybody that's medically trained will be trained, and we don't have to chase down CEUs. It's student-accredited university. It simplifies the process.
So we're looking at this increase to go to staff that actually go on, is it suppression calls? Is that what it's called?
Well, it's fire suppression is the file, rank and file minus myself. I'm the chief, of course, and I don't respond on calls. I have responded on some calls, but I don't do it like they do every day. And that's who it's for.
So will this be limited to just those people?
I think they're asking for all 8 of us to have it. Now, if it's a deal breaker, I will step away from it.
No, I mean, I mean, we're really trying to get people that respond to calls that have this training, right?
Well, sure, I think that ultimately is the goal, but I think, again, if I'm the hang-up, right, because I'm the 8th paramedic, take me out of the equation, give it to the other 7.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to get the focus of where we want this money to go to.
We want it to go to the folks that are.
Hold on, Chief. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's all. I think that's all. I know the Public Safety Committee looked at 2 options. They looked also at a bonus, the $5,000 to try to get more people to either sign up for this. You know, of course, the $5,000 would actually be more, depending on how many people signed up. It would have more of a budget impact. But this is a tough one because it does pull on your heartstrings. That's all, Mayor.
Appreciate that, Alderman Robertson. Alderman Martin on this amendment? Okay. Alderman Bergdorf on the amendment? Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Chief Bush, sorry about that.
Nope, it's okay.
In the last finance meeting we had, you did discuss a grant that you're pursuing
Yes,
to
sir.
help offset some of these costs. Is
The
that correct?
training, yes, sir.
Can you fill this in for that a little bit more?
Yes, sir, that's what I was making reference to. The AFG we've applied for, with y'all's permission, is to bring the in-house EMT, advanced EMT, and paramedic program to us. Now, the paramedic program will not be at Hendersonville Fire Station 2 in the training
This is
room.
exactly what you just talked
It
about.
has to go through Vol State because it's college accredited. There's certain standards they have to meet. They will have to go to Vol State to do that, but this grant pays for them to go to that class. It's $10,000 roughly just for tuition, books. It's going to be roughly shirts, books. It's going to be probably $12,000, $13,000 to send each individual person to paramedic school.
So-
We've got one that's interested right now.
So the grant covers the cost,
Correct.
and then this is only a supplemental to retain the staff. Is that correct?
Alderman Collins, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
please.
would just, the supplemental pay is currently $3,600, I did misspeak. And I would like to elevate that to $6,000 annually. So it would be, for the mid-year budget, $4,800, annually $19,200 increased expenses. And then 3 years from now, or 2 years from now, I'm sorry, when that one person gets their paramedic, it would be $20,600 increased expense. And hopefully in year 3, we could add 3 more people, and it'd be $18,000 more than,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying.
So, okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Alderman Bergdorf, thank you. Alderman Peterson on the amendment? Yes. Go ahead.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
So we have 8 paramedics. We have 7 fire halls. Is there one at each facility?
Currently, we try to, so NFPA recommends that you have an EMT or higher on 90% of your calls. So we have strategically placed all of our medical staff throughout the 6 stations right now. And then when 7 opens, we'll have some EMS personnel trained at that location as well. They have to be a first responder, which is the lowest level, but we'll have advanced EMTs and basic EMTs at that station and potentially have a medic out there as well. We don't have one right now. We try to position those medics of where we have the heaviest call volume for calls. So they're at those stations, so they'll be readily accessible for an emergency. And we really don't know the call volume out in 7's territory yet.
Do paramedics fight fires?
Yes, sir.
So I don't know the percentages, but sometimes they would respond to a call and put out a fire and not render aid. Is that correct?
Well, so if we arrive there first, like typically we do on a house fire, and there would be somebody entrapped that's suffering from smoke inhalation or an injury, then yes, that paramedic would be assigned to that person or persons to treat them until an ambulance got there to transport them. We would pull them from fighting fire because we've got more cavalry coming to take care of the individual. The individual is our main focus. We can replace property, but we can't replace lives, as you all know.
So do you pay, if they're fighting fires, do they get fireman pay or are they getting paramedic pay?
So the paramedic pay is the stipend or I think we call it something different. They get their salaries based off being a firefighter. The EMT level, the paramedic is the extra pay, supplemental pay that's added to their fire pay.
So they would be paid as a paramedic if they're rendering aid to an individual?
No, sir, they get that. That's a base. That $3,600 we all get right now is we get it all year long. It's
okay.
And so that $6,000 will be spread out those 12 months. So
would that be a logistical nightmare to just track when they are being a paramedic and when they are being a firefighter?
No, I mean, that's nothing more than just pulling reports and keeping up with where their medics are at. It wouldn't be a difficult thing to do.
Okay. I could make an amendment to the amendment that paramedics would receive this additional pay if they're rendering aid. If not, they would just receive their firefighter pay.
How do we?
That would probably be very difficult from a.
Hold on. So, if they're rendering aid at an emergency, then they would get all the pay, right? Jesse, help me out here.
That they would be paid the paramedic rate that that Alderman Collins is imposing, but I'm just thinking, how often are they being a paramedic? Because I want them to receive the additional pay for their experience and their education, but I don't think that we should be doing a blanket raise for paramedics if they're fighting fires.
Okay. So if they use their paramedic skills, do we pay them at that higher level all year or just that month?
Per call.
Per call. Tamara, help us out. Tamara or Jesse, how would we determine that?
Yeah, so maybe if I just give a little context to how we do it, because it's in the municipal code, and that supplemental pay is not just for paramedics, but there's SWAT that has it, the dive team, our motorcycles have it, Flex has it. So there's multiple kind of add-ons, right, supplementals for PD and for fire. And so what happens is they get their typical paycheck that says, hey, I'm a firefighter level 6, but I get this bonus because I'm on the dive team. And the way that gets paid is just part of normal payroll. So you have your salary that sits here, and then if you have these additional certifications, then whatever that certification's worth, it gets broken out over the course of the year, and a little bit gets added to each paycheck. So like our SWAT team, they get a little bit at each paycheck. And so that's the way it works with our EMTs and with our paramedics right now. So we just say, hey, what's it worth for a year or a month? And then we pay that as part of payroll on top of their regular salary.
Okay. Mayor, I will withdraw my amendment.
Okay, so I'm going to want to come back to you in a second because you brought up
Yes.
something. And I'll come back to you. Okay.
I still feel what I proposed is pretty adamant. But, and I appreciate Alderman Collins bringing this up. And I also concur with Eddie Roberson. Let's do this at the beginning of the budget cycle and not now. Thank you.
Alderman Peterson, thank you. Alderman Waters, on the amendment?
I'm confused. We started out, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alderman Collins, was 2 minutes off? Did I hear you say 2 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so we're gonna give them a raise for the 2 minutes, is that right? That's gonna get them there quicker
No,
because
sir.
we gave them a raise.
No, no, sir.
Don't just say yes or no.
No.
Okay. It sounds like that's what you're looking at to me. I think, and I have to agree with Alderman Peterson, this is a budget issue. This should be brought up tonight. It should be brought up at midterm. Now, that's what we have budget hearings for. And I can't vote for this, but I think we need to put it on the agenda for the upcoming budget. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Waters, thank you. Alderman Martin or Alderman Garza on the amendment? Alderman Garza on the amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh,
You just had-
yes, thanks. Rachel, thanks for bringing this up, and I do think procedurally we should do it at the end of the year, but more importantly, 2 minutes saves lives. I had a long discussion with you back there, David, about this. So if we get there 2 minutes earlier and we've got a paramedic on our staff, it's life or death, so I can't put a price on that, number one. Number two, and I'm gonna pick on Lee, but because I know he feels strong about this, I don't want any of our extra caliber people, the ones who've been trained to work on commission. You are a paramedic, you're a paramedic. If you don't be a paramedic that night, you're still a paramedic. So I think once they get the certification or whatever case, certifications they need, that's what they get paid for. I don't want to get, I don't find that other thing. I've been in the commission world forever. You get paid for your expertise. That's all I have to say.
Alderman Garza, thank you. Alderman Dixon.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm curious if this has been discussed fully in the Public Safety Committee.
Who wants to handle that? Alderman Goodwin.
We started discussion tonight, and we agreed to move it to BOMA. We had differing opinions, but we decided to move it to BOMA for a vote.
So there's no, you didn't.
We have no ordinance or
you have
resolution,
no.
no.
Or resolution. I would like to see it fully written out with the data and the facts. I feel like we're jumping to the end instead of looking at what our long-term goal is here. So that's my opinion.
Alderman Dixon, Alderman
thank
Goodwin,
you.
thank you. So here's where I am. I think we've had some good discussion right here. I want to see how how the higher pay impacts the cities that do this across the board and have more people. I want to see if it makes a difference in their care. And I also want to see if it makes a difference in their retention, see if it makes a difference in their recruitment. I'm sure it makes a difference, I have no doubt, in their care for their residents. And I think this will do that. But I also want to see if this is something that other cities are requiring of their firefighters or firefighter twos, and paying them a higher salary at the very beginning. To me, so I have a lot of questions still out there, but I might vote for this if it comes up in 2 weeks, if I can do some research between now and then. Some of y'all might disagree and feel like it needs to wait to the whole budget. But if it's something that's gonna help our residents, help us with retention, it's going to, we see proof that it helps in recruitment, and it gives our firefighters a better wage and pays them fairly for the experience and their training, then I'm all for it. I just don't have the answers to that quite yet. I might have them in 2 weeks. I might be willing to support this in 2 weeks. So, Alderman Collins, you've spoken once. Do you want to go again? We've got a couple other people.
No, let's allow other people.
Okay. Everybody else is coming up on their second time. Alderman Robertson.
Has this been,
Did you want to speak on the amendment?
has Alderman Sassy spoke yet on this?
He has not. I didn't think
Let
he was speaking
me-
on the amendment. I apologize to
Yeah.
you and to Alderman Sassy. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Robertson. I just had a question on this. If we vote, just a procedural question, if we vote on this amendment and it fails, and then research is done, can this same amendment be brought up at the second reading?
It can't, if it's the same amendment.
So I guess due to that, and you're going to be doing some research on it and bringing it back to the board, I'm going to recommend maybe we, since this is the first reading, maybe be withdrawn. It's your amendment, so it's up to you, but withdraw it and then bring it back at next reading, would be my recommendation.
Okay. Or you, yes, go ahead, Alderman Collins.
Actually, that is what, if I have the opportunity to earn more votes by waiting for another 2 weeks, I'm happy to do that. But I did want to let you and Alderman Martin speak, because you haven't yet, before I made that motion. So I'm going to wait to do that until Alderman Martin. I think your light's on.
I'm not speaking on the amendment.
Okay.
You're not, okay, then
And that's all I had to say, thank you.
Then in that case, yes, I would like to,
Withdraw.
whatever. Whatever it is supposed to be. Let's talk about it next
Okay.
time we meet.
So Alderman Sass, you made the second, am I correct? Yeah. Okay, and you're okay with it, okay. So we're back on the main motion, which is what was included in your packet. I know that Alderman Martin had his button pressed a little while ago. Alderman Martin on the main motion? No? Not on the main motion? Do you want to make an amendment? You're welcome to do that? Okay, okay. Alderman Robertson on the main motion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
If this is brought back up, I hope that it will go to Finance Committee. I think it's important for the Finance Committee. In concept, this is a good idea. I mean, I don't think any of us are opposed to it. We just want a little more research and a little more vetting, you know, especially by the Finance Committee. So with that, I support Alderman Collins's motion to withdraw.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Goodwin.
Just a quick question, and I don't know if this is for Chief Bush or for Jesse. If we get more paramedics, will that increase our liability, or will that help our insurance rating and lower our insurance?
Good deal.
I don't know the answer. I don't know if it will. Do you know if it will increase?
Your ISO rating's based on your fire calls only, not EMS rating.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you say that?
Yeah, your rating is based on your fire calls, not your EMS staff that are on it. Is that correct? So the amount of EMS staff won't affect our ISO rating.
Will it increase the liability insurance with them being at another level, or no? No?
You're still covered by the city's insurance policy.
Okay.
Alderman Goodwin, thank you. Alderman Martin, did I turn the light back on, or did you do that?
I did that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to talk loosely about the contributions and donations. And this is just a general discussion, and it's got two prongs. One of them is the fire department has a new nonprofit group, and I don't know if there's been any discussions on maybe contributing money to that new entity. The timing-wise, to me, is important because as we move from spring into summer, to have soft costs covered for fundraisers and things like that. Has there been any conversation about that?
Chairman, you want to address that? Thank you.
Yeah, the applications for the nonprofit contributions for next fiscal year were actually due last Friday. If they were to turn one in now, I have not compiled the packet for the nonprofit committee yet. I can add it in, just notate it was late, and then the nonprofit committee would make the decision on what was actually donated or contributed to them.
Every request for a nonprofit has to go through our nonprofit committee.
Okay.
They don't get veto power, but it has to be considered by them.
Okay. All right, and then that explains that gives me the answer to the second one.
Okay. Good job, Chairman. Any other discussion on whatever this is? Ordinance 2024-05. Alderman Robertson.
Couple of observations that I think are important for the public. When I look at the mid-year budget, I see that greater than 50% of the mid-year budget is going for public safety. Greater than 50%. About 22% is going for natural disaster recoveries. So of the mid-year budget, 72% are going for public safety and natural disasters. I think that is an important note for the public to understand. Also, regretfully, this is the first time, Mayor, in a number of years that we have not been able to add anything to paving. I think last year at this time, what did we add, over $1 million?
I think so.
In paving. So some of us in the discussion on the referendum talked about, how's this going to affect the budget? Well, this is one of the reasons that we're not going to be able to add paving, also, this budget does not add any new employees. And last but not least, capital projects. I have to beat the drum on this. If you look at page 52 on your budget analysis, the Saundersville, Avondale intersection improvement, you see that staff has requested an additional $112,270 for that project. Now, what that tells you is staff doesn't believe that what we had budgeted for that project, that very inexpensive project, that's probably the least expensive capital project that we have, that we need to increase the city portion of that 45%. So I just want you to understand that, this may be what they call the canary in the coal mine. It may be telling us, get ready for similar things like this on our capital projects. So I think those are important things. Mayor, as you're aware, 64% of the voters approved the referendum. But I believe 100% of the voters want us to budget conservatively and to avoid and to be efficient in the spending. And so I just wanted to make those observations. I think they're important for the public to know that we are, this board is conservatively budgeting, and hopefully with the new revenues from the sales tax, that we're going to be able to make some great improvements in paving, public safety, new roads and parks next budget, because of the citizens voted 64% in favor of that referendum. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. We're back on the motion and the second to approve first reading ordinance 2024-05. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on to other agenda items. We have the reappointment of Beverly Hyde to the Historic Zoning Commission. We have a motion from Alderman Sassy, a second from Alderman Bergdorf. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have our brief committee reports. Chairman Peterson, the General Committee.
I don't typically do this, but I think it may be some of your first time you've met Miss Amanda Grider. She's our HR manager. She joined us from the state, lives in Gallatin, and we had a rough time with HR. We had a retirement. We had someone who moved out of the country. We had someone who left for a different job, and we went from people who had been in the department for years to like no one in the department. And so when we hired Amanda, we just said, it's going to be rough for a little while. Like, everyone's brand new. But instantly when we met her, we knew that you could just, like, when you meet Amanda, she's just a good person. And I've gotten so many compliments on the way that she handles employees and just how helpful that Amanda and the HR team is. So I just wanted to compliment Amanda. She's done a great job. And she has a fear of public speaking. So we'll see how this goes.
Thanks for pointing that out. So we had the general committee meeting, and we went over ordinance 2024-04, amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code Title II, Chapter 1, Section 2-101, relative to appointing members to various boards and commissions. It was approved unanimously to forward to BOMA with a positive recommendation. We also had on the agenda Ordinance 2024-06, an ordinance rezoning 4.84 acres located at the intersection of Saundersville Road and Windcrest Way from suburban residential low density, SR1, to general commercial plan development, GCPD, to be known as Windcrest Commercial Plaza. This was removed because the developer withdrew from the project. And then we had another discussion on planning notification process, and that was about it for the meeting.
Alderman Peterson, thank you. Amanda, thank you. Chairman Goodwin, Public Safety Committee.
We only had 2 items to discuss tonight. One is the SAFER grant, which will be coming to you next meeting. That is to approve firefighters for the fire department, 3 years, no cost to the city. We did turn that down last year, so it will be coming this year. Hopefully for approval. It was recommended with a positive recommendation to come forward to you. And we also had a discussion on the paramedic pay. That concludes my report.
Chairman Goodwin, thank you. Chairman Skidmore, we probably should have put a Public Works Committee report on here. If you would like to, I'll entertain a motion. We need a 2/3 vote to add it to the agenda, or would you want to wait 2 weeks? Your call. Let me turn on your microphone first.
Better because of the trash contract.
Second, yes. Okay, so we have a motion from me, a second from Alderman Peterson to add a Public Works Committee report at this time. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes with the required 2/3 majority vote. Chairman Skidmore.
Thank you. I'll be very short about it. Tonight, we had a special called meeting dealing with the garbage contract within the city of Hendersonville. And we have a resolution that is going to be coming before you in probably in 2 weeks for us to discuss about the waste control here in Hendersonville. And the bid was from Waste Pro of Tennessee for our city's trash collection. The trash collection, a lot of people don't understand this, it's probably about around 21,000 trash pickups that are made in our city. But we're going to, real quickly, briefly, you'll get this next week, as a mail out that we're going to be sending out to the city, and we're going to do 2 mail outs from the city to explain what the changes of the contract are, and that will be, you will be notified about it more in 2 weeks from now to let you know that. And there's been a couple of amendments which we will probably entertain in 2 weeks, but I wanted to let you know you've got the bottom line is this: you've got a resolution that's coming in 2 weeks for your approval, and I look forward to speaking with you at that time. Thank you, Mayor.
Chairman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Martin, Planning Commission report, please.
Can she do my report? She did such a great job. All right, so we had on the consent agenda, Elliott Electrical Supply. They submitted a site plan that looked good. That was passed. We also had a project called the Triangle Phase 1, FDP. They simply were adding a use to their retail goods establishment, restaurant carryout and restaurant quick service to their use. That one passed, pretty straightforward. And then we had a project that generated a lot of interest from the community. She had mentioned it before, the Windcrest Commercial Plaza, which is basically an established neighborhood, and the developer was proposing to build a extended stay hotel and a gas station abutting up right next to it. Long story short, if it sounds wrong, it's probably because it is. The Planning Commission and staff have developed the land use plan to include transition areas so you avoid situations like that. The community did a great job. I think I echo our planning director's comments that they really had it together, and they were very cordial, very representative. I was very impressed. I think he was too. Ultimately, that project was the motion failed, so we sent it on with a recommendation not to pass it. And like she said, the developer has withdrawn it, so that project's not around anymore. And that's it for me.
Alderman Martin, thank you. Jesse, Bowman report.
I guess I found my backup for my COO report next time I'm out. Thank you. We adopted a new purchasing policy less than a year ago. That has been working well. Anytime the city makes a purchase, whether it's the mayor, the fire department, the police department, the parks department, it runs through our new process. And that purchasing policy process runs through finance. That gets audited at the end of the year. So any type of purchase that anyone at the city makes is going to get sampled at the end of the year by our auditors, and it's going to run through our purchasing policy. So from time to time, we may hear comments of, you guys are inappropriately spending money. Just so you know that every purchase runs through the finance department. It runs through our policy, and then our auditors sample that at the end of the year, and we had the disclosure of our financial statement at the end of the year. So just giving you an update on that. The Deer Herd Committee, I want to give you an update on the progress. Alderman Collins had requested an update on some of the progress. And TWRA had said probably the two most impactful things that the city could do is, one, educate the citizens, and number two, try and pair homeowners who want people to hunt with hunters on their land. And so the Deer Herd Committee is in the process of finalizing their educational pamphlet. It may be done at their next committee meeting. That committee meeting is on the third Thursday of this month at 6:30. So they meet on the third Tuesday of every month at 6:30. So they will come and make a presentation when that educational pamphlet is done, but that's good progress that they're making on that, and that the TWRA also was able to pair homeowners who wanted hunters on their land with hunters. So anyway, they're continuing to work on an educational strategy, and we'll have the chair discuss that when they come and do a presentation to the board as well. So that should be upcoming. And then I want to have Casey come up and just give you guys an update on what we're going to do for communication with the new trash service.
Hey, so Alderman Skidmore mentioned this a little bit. We did talk about it in the special called meeting tonight. And I believe a copy of the plan is in the packets that you all got this week. Basically, to kind of summarize it all, is we want to be as informative as we can to residents. We want to get as many communications as we can to them in as many different ways so that no one misses out the opportunity to find out what's going on, that they kind of get tired of hearing about trash because they've heard about it so much. So we are sending 2 direct mailed pieces from the city. We will be putting it on our website. We're going to utilize the newspaper for press releases as well as ads. It will be all over social media. We're just going to do everything we can to help make sure throughout this process that everyone is educated. The first communication will begin its process of going out this week and after this meeting tonight. The goal of that one is just to be more general. We want to just kind of get the idea of it's going to be curbside based on budget, how we got to where we are, and most importantly, give people information on how they can submit the medical waiver if they are someone who will require that so that they can keep that backdoor service free of cost for their medical exemptions. So that will all be included. We will also have a new web page that will include all of this information as well, so we can kind of funnel everything to there for people to be able to look back and see what communications we have sent, how they can do the exemption if they need to, what the process is. And then, of course, for those who do not have internet access or need to get this form another way, we will have copies at the front desk at City Hall so that they can pop in and get those as well.
Alderman Peterson, do you have a question for our COO?
Yes, thank you very much. I have a shout out. Can I do that?
Let our COO finish his report, though.
Okay. Please come back to me.
Last item, just to let you know that the budget schedule will be announced this week, not the mid-year budget, but next year's budget. It will likely begin in 2 weeks, so right after spring break. And we're going to have to consider at least one new fund as the referendum is passed. That's going to go effective, it's supposed to go effective around June 1st, if we get the certified election results in. So we'll have to set a new fund aside for that, and then we will talk about how we spend it between public safety, parks, infrastructure, and paving. So you will see that a little bit different in the budget this year, and we will plan on getting something out to you in writing before the end of this week, but plan in about 2 weeks to have our first budget workshop. And the rest of my report is in here, and that concludes my report unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Jesse. Alderman Peterson, since we don't have anything else on the agenda, you would need to make a motion to add something on the agenda, but I'll give you about 15 seconds to talk before I cut you off asking for a motion.
I just want to thank Planning and Codes. Went out to a neighbor's house today that was putting in an illegal fence, and they just talked to him, and the homeowners didn't know. But I appreciate the staff talking to them and just educating them on what is approved and what isn't. And also the...
Two things?
Yeah, two things. Public Works, the clean team was out today in my neighborhood, and that they fixed a stop sign. I don't think that's in their job description, but I just appreciate them going above and beyond their call of duty. Our city staff is incredible, and I just want everybody to know that. Thank you.
Well, we have executive session coming up. For those that are here, let me explain what's going to happen. Is the 13 of us, the 12 of us that are here, members of the board, and our city attorney, we're going to go into a room over here. Nobody else can be there legally. We are not going to deliberate. We're just going to ask questions of our attorney. He's going to provide some information. When we come back, I don't anticipate that we're going to have any motion, but we could have a motion. Had I anticipated something, I would have put it on there. That is a possibility. I don't think that we're going to be in there more than 5 minutes. I think we should be back relatively quickly. Again, we will not deliberate in there. We will only ask questions of our attorney. So, Jason, if you want to pause this for a second, we'll be right back. Alderman Robertson. We have a motion to adjourn, a second by Alderman Sassy. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Y'all have